At the charity gala, I thought I was just doing my job, smiling, serving, staying invisible. But when the CEO's wife stormed in the next morning demanding my termination over something I couldn't even remember doing, I knew my quiet days were over. If you want to hear how I turned a humiliating moment into a storm of revenge that shook the entire company, smash that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe to the channel for more true revenge stories just like this one. My name is Maya. I'm 31, single, and I've worked in hospitality for most of my adult life. This story isn't just about payback. It's about dignity, standing tall when you've been pushed down, and making the people who treated you like dirt realize just who they messed with. I'd been working at Everfield Estates Country Club for 5 years. It wasn't the fanciest spot in the state, but it was exclusive, wealthy members, business tycoons, politicians, the kind of people who liked their champagne chilled and their staff silent. I started as a server and worked my way up to events coordinator. I loved the job. Planning, organizing, making things run smooth. It was my rhythm. The charity gala had become a yearly staple, held in honor of some foundation connected to the CEO's wife. The event always drew a mix of bored rich people, fake laughter, and overpriced auction items nobody really wanted. But this year it was bigger. The CEO, Mr. Bradford, had just landed a major merger, and everyone was treating the event like some royal gathering. I was in charge of everything behind the scenes. Table placements, music, food flow, waitstaff schedules, floral arrangements, even the lighting. I ran around the venue in my black flats and headset like a soldier on a battlefield. No room for mistakes, especially not when the CEO and his wife, Madeline Bradford, were involved. Madeline was what people politely called high maintenance. Truth was, she treated most people like furniture, there to serve her comfort and disappear. She walked around with her chin up like the air smelled different up there. But I never gave her a reason to notice me. That was the plan. I didn't need drama. I needed my paycheck. The night started smooth. The string quartet played softly. The servers moved like clockwork, and the guests were already tossing out bids on paintings and vacation packages. I kept checking my clipboard, making sure the auction was on schedule. Then it happened. A server came rushing to me, pale-faced, whispering that Madeline was upset. I blinked. About what? She said the lighting on her table makes her look old. I stared. What? She wants it changed. Right now. I sighed, signaled the technician, and had the lights softened slightly. Apparently that wasn't enough. She got up from her seat, heels clacking across the marble floor like gunshots, and stormed toward the staff corridor where I was checking the dessert prep. I barely had time to stand before she was in my face. "Are you the one in charge here?" she snapped. "Yes, ma'am." "You think this is acceptable?" She gestured behind her wildly. "My table? It's like a hospital waiting room. I asked for ambience. This is a disgrace." I kept my expression calm. "I can adjust it, ma'am. Just give me one moment." "No," she cut me off. "I want this fixed now. And next time, maybe put someone in charge who knows what elegant looks like." She walked off before I could say anything else. The room had gone quiet for a second, some guests turning their heads. I felt the heat crawl up my neck. Still, I held it in, took a deep breath, told myself to finish the night without crying. I fixed the lighting, kept everything moving. By the time the event ended, most people were tipsy and happy, praising the night. I even got a quick nod from Mr. Bradford as he walked out with his arm around Madeline, who barely looked at me. I thought that was the end of it, until the next morning. I arrived early as usual. I liked having time to breathe before the calls and chaos began. But when I walked into the office, something felt off. My manager, Clint, was already waiting for me outside his door. "Maya," he said, "I need to talk to you. Now." I followed him in, confused. He didn't ask me to sit. Did something happen last night at the gala? With Mrs. Bradford? My stomach dipped. She was unhappy with the lighting at her table, but I handled it. He pressed his lips together. She called this morning, demanded you be fired, said you embarrassed her in front of guests, that you rolled your eyes and spoke to her like she was beneath you. My jaw dropped. What? I didn't roll my eyes. I didn't, Clint, I didn't do anything like that. I believe you, he said quickly, but this is delicate. She's the CEO's wife. This could cost us. Are you serious? One complaint from her, and I lose my job. He looked helpless. I'm trying to buy time. Just stay out of sight for now, okay? Don't talk to anyone. Let me handle it. Stay out of sight? Like I was some dirty secret? I left his office shaken. I went to the break room and sat in the corner, staring at the wall. I wasn't even mad yet. I was stunned. Everything I'd done for this place, late nights, emergency weekends, pulling together events with 2 days' notice. And now I was suddenly in trouble because a rich woman wanted to flex her power? No one came to check on me that day. The emails were silent. By the afternoon, Clint texted me, "Don't come in tomorrow. I'll update you." I sat on my couch that night, numb. I felt like someone had pulled the rug from under me. But it wasn't until the next morning that the numbness turned into something else. Rage. I'd spent years putting up with being invisible, being just staff, smiling when I was insulted, apologizing for things that weren't my fault. But not this time. Not when I'd done my job. Not when I'd given everything. I didn't know exactly how yet, but I was going to make them regret this. All of them. Madeline for lying, Clint for folding, and Mr. Bradford for pretending he didn't see it. And I had a plan, or at least the beginning of one. First, I needed to gather some facts. I reached out to one of the servers I trusted, a girl named Jenna who worked the gala. What really happened at that table? I asked. Jenna hesitated. You didn't hear this from me, okay? But she was already drunk before the first course. She spilled wine on her dress and blamed it on a busboy. She made 3 different servers cry. And yeah, she did say she wanted you gone. Loudly. Like loud enough for guests to hear. I sat back, eyes narrowing. That was all I needed to hear. But just as I was about to end the call, Jenna added something else. Oh, and get this. I overheard her talking to one of the board members' wives. She said, "I'm tired of that little cockroach acting like she owns the place. I'll make sure she's gone by Monday." That was Friday night. It was now Sunday, and I knew come Monday she would get her wish, unless I did something first. And I knew exactly where to start, with an email, but not just any email, one that would shake the entire foundation of Everfield Estates, one that would set the first domino toppling. And right before I hit send, my phone buzzed again with a name I hadn't seen in years, the name of someone I never thought I'd call again. But suddenly, I knew I had to, because she owed me a favor, and her husband, he worked inside the corporate legal department for Bradford Enterprises. I grinned and hit call. I hadn't talked to Tessa in almost 4 years. Our friendship had fallen apart after college, mostly over a dumb misunderstanding that neither of us cared to fix at the time. But I remembered one thing clearly. Her husband, Drew, worked in the legal department for Bradford Enterprises. Not just any department either. Internal compliance and investigations. If anyone could help me understand the cracks inside the empire Madeline was queen of, it was Drew. Tessa answered on the 3rd ring. "Hello." Her voice was hesitant. "Hey, it's Maya." Silence. Then a surprised laugh. "Maya? Wow. I haven't heard from you in forever." "I know. This is awkward. I wouldn't call unless it was serious." She hesitated. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine now, but I need a favor, and I wouldn't ask unless I had nowhere else to turn." Tessa paused. "Go on." I told her everything. The gala, the fake accusation, the warning from Clint, the way I was being shoved out after years of loyalty. I kept my voice calm, but I could hear the anger leaking through. When I finished, there was a long silence. "She really called the company and demanded your termination?" Tessa asked slowly. Yes. I did nothing wrong, Tessa. Nothing. But she wanted to prove a point. I was disposable to her. She sighed. That sounds just like the stuff Drew tells me. Bradford Enterprises is a mess on the inside. They just hide it really well. Can Drew help me? I'm not looking to sue. Not yet. I just need information. Anything I can use. There was another pause. Give me a day. I'll talk to him. No promises, okay? Fair. Thank you. After the call, I opened my laptop. I needed a backup plan in case Drew couldn't help. So I began listing everyone I'd worked with over the years who had witnessed Madeline's tantrums, public humiliations, outbursts. I had kept quiet so many times, but now I had a reason not to. By the end of the day, I had 6 names, 2 servers, a security guard, a florist, a DJ, and one of the valet boys. Each one had seen something, and I was going to collect their stories like puzzle pieces. Monday came. I didn't go to work. I didn't get a call from Clint, either. I wasn't sure if that meant I was officially fired or unofficially ghosted. I tried not to let it shake me. Around noon, Tessa texted, "Meet me at Cafe Leona at 3. Drew's joining. We have something." I was there by 2:50, heart pounding. I spotted them in the corner booth. Tessa gave me a small smile. Drew looked tense, like a man who wasn't sure if he was breaking rules or breaking loyalty. I slid into the booth. Drew started first. Okay, so I checked the records. Officially, there's no report filed about you. No HR complaint. No termination paperwork. My brow furrowed. Then Clint was bluffing. No, he said. This is what they do. They keep things off book so they don't get messy. They use pressure, create an environment where the employee just leaves on their own. So they were forcing me out quietly. Exactly. I sat back. Is that legal? Gray area, Drew said. But Madeline's history with staff is well known inside the company. She's got a file. They just bury it. A file. He nodded. A collection of complaints, past incidents, several from country club employees. Some pretty serious stuff. Screaming, threats, even one accusation of physical contact. All dismissed. My eyes narrowed. Can I see that file? He hesitated. If I pull it, it flags my ID. But I can tell you what's in it. Or better, if you gather enough personal statements, we might be able to pressure the board. Especially now. Why now? He glanced around, then leaned forward. There's talk of a leadership shuffle. The board's considering easing Mr. Bradford out, quietly, golden parachute style. If something big hits the public now, it'll complicate things. They'll want to avoid a scandal. That was it. The piece I didn't know I needed. Madeline wanted me fired over a perceived slight. Now I had the power to turn her golden life into something ugly and exposed. I thanked them both and left with my heart pounding. It was time to call in every quiet favor I was ever owed. I spent the next 3 days interviewing every person on my list. Some were scared. Some didn't care. But one by one, they told their stories. I recorded each call with permission and saved every detail. Jenna described the wine spill cover-up and the names she was called. The DJ remembered the time Madeline called him a noise-making embarrassment in front of guests because the music was 2 beats late. The valet boy. She'd slapped his clipboard out of his hand because her car wasn't waiting. I typed it all up. Each story, each name, each date, and then I sent it. Not to Clint, not to Mr. Bradford, but to the board of directors at Bradford Enterprises. Every single one of them. I titled the document, Pattern of Abuse, a staff perspective on Mrs. Madeline Bradford. I included no demands, just truth. But the very next morning, something happened that made my hands shake. An unmarked black SUV parked outside my apartment building. I watched it from my window. The back door opened, and Clint stepped out, in a suit. He looked up at my window. Then he buzzed. I didn't answer. He buzzed again. I picked up the intercom. Maya, he said quickly, we need to talk. Please. This isn't about firing you anymore. It's bigger than that. Clint, I said calmly. You told me to stay out of sight. So maybe you should do the same. Maya. Please. They're asking questions. People are panicking. What did you send them? I hung up, and as I watched him pace in front of the door like a soaked cat, I couldn't help but smile. Because Madeline wasn't the only one feeling the heat now. But just as I turned from the window, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I answered. A cold voice said, You've made a mistake, Ms. Walker. Back off. Then it clicked. This wasn't over. Someone was watching. And they weren't happy. Whoever just called me. They knew where I lived. I stood frozen in my living room. The phone still in my hand. The dial tone buzzing in my ear. The voice had been cold, deliberate, and it didn't ask. It warned. That wasn't just some empty threat. Someone had gotten my number. Someone who didn't want Madeline's secrets exposed. I slowly lowered the phone and double-checked every lock in my apartment. Front door, back window, even the sliding glass balcony. My heart wasn't just racing, it was hammering. But mixed with fear was something sharper. Determination. They thought they could scare me into silence. They thought I'd just curl up and walk away. No, not this time. I grabbed my laptop and typed every word I could remember from the call. Logged the time, the number, and where I had been when it came in. Then I forwarded it to Tessa and Drew. Someone just threatened me. Tessa replied within 2 minutes. Drew's calling in a favor. Don't go anywhere alone. I stared at the message. Something told me that SUV outside my building hadn't just been Clint wanting to talk. Maybe he was sent, or maybe he was being watched, too. I closed the blinds and started digging deeper. If Madeline had enemies within the company, and I was sure she did, someone would be willing to help quietly. I remembered overhearing whispers at past galas and board meetings. Mr. Garrison, one of the older board members, had once told a waitress, if Madeline keeps running her mouth, someone's going to tape it next time. She had laughed it off, but I didn't. I still had his business card. I pulled it from an old file folder and stared at the number. Then I called. He answered on the third ring, sounding surprised. Yes. Mr. Garrison, my name is Maya Walker. I coordinated last year's charity gala at Everfield Estates. Yes, I remember. I'm sorry to reach out directly, but I believe I'm being threatened after submitting a report to the board about Mrs. Bradford's behaviour toward staff. Silence. Then, did you receive a call? Yes, less than an hour ago. I think someone from inside leaked my name. He let out a sigh. This is exactly why people never speak up. I'll look into it, quietly. And Maya? Yes. Do not go near any official HR representatives right now. Trust me. That wasn't something I expected to hear, but I nodded anyway. Understood. After we hung up, I made a decision. I wasn't going to hide in my apartment like a scared animal. I was going to fight. The next day, I did something bold. I walked into Everfield Estates, head high, eyes forward, and went straight to the front desk. The receptionist blinked at me like she'd seen a ghost. Maya, you're back. I'm here to collect my belongings, I said calmly. They're still in my locker, correct? She hesitated. Let me call Clint. Don't. I'm not here to cause trouble. Just want my stuff. She looked unsure but nodded slowly. Okay, go ahead. I walked down the same hallway I had paced for years, organizing events, solving problems, helping that place run like a machine, and unlocked my locker in the staff room. I pulled out my small box of things, some personal notebooks, a pair of emergency heels, a photo of me and my sister from our first Christmas after Mom passed. As I turned to leave, I ran into Jenna. Maya, she gasped. Are you okay? Everyone said you got fired. I gave a tight smile. Not yet, but I'm not hiding either. She lowered her voice. They're freaking out. People got called into weird meetings. Clint's been walking around red-faced like he's about to explode. And get this, Madeline showed up this morning. My spine straightened. Here? Now. Yeah. She stormed into Clint's office like a tornado, slammed the door. I think she knows something's up. I nodded. Good. Maya, what are you going to do? I glanced at her. What I should have done a long time ago. Shine a light on everything she's done. I was halfway to the front doors when I heard the heels. That unmistakable sound. Sharp, angry, unforgiving. Madeline. She appeared from the corridor in a designer coat, flanked by Clint and another man I didn't recognize, maybe security. When she saw me, her face twisted like she'd tasted something rotten. Well, look who couldn't take a hint, she sneered. I didn't blink, just collecting my things. Not that you'd understand what it means to work for something. Her eyes flared. Clint stepped between us. Maya, maybe it's best if you... I cut him off. You said to stay out of sight, not to disappear. I've been patient. I've been quiet. But your wife slandered me, lied about me, and now you're scrambling because someone's finally pushing back. The stranger stepped closer, clearly trying to intimidate me. Madeline crossed her arms. You think you're important? You're nothing. A little event planner with a god complex. I smiled. And you're just a bored, rich woman who finally messed with the wrong girl. That wiped the smirk off her face. I've got nothing to hide, I said, walking past them toward the exit. Can you say the same? Then I left. Outside, I climbed into my car and drove to the one place I hadn't been since this started. My older sister Dana's house in Old Briarwood Court. Dana and I weren't exactly best friends. She was older, a mom of two, and always thought I needed to stop stirring pots when things got unfair. But I knew she'd keep me safe for the night. She opened the door in sweatpants and a messy bun. Maya, what happened? You look like you walked out of a storm. I'm being threatened. I need to lie low, just for a day or two. She stepped aside. You're always welcome here. I stayed up late on her couch, replaying every moment in my head. That confrontation at the club had been risky. Too risky, but worth it. Around 1 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Blocked number. I froze, then answered. But it wasn't a voice this time. It was a video message. A blurry clip, taken from a corner angle. It showed me, inside Everfield Estates, talking to Jenna, gathering my stuff. Someone had recorded me. And at the end of the clip, a distorted voice said, "We warned you. Stay out." Then the screen went black, and that was when I realized they were watching everything. I sat on Dana's couch in the dark, my phone still glowing in my hand. That video hadn't been some random threat. It was recent, filmed inside Everfield Estates. That meant someone close to Madeline was feeding her every move I made. But who? And why? I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every creak of the house had me turning my head. My mind replayed the clip over and over. Jenna's face, mine. Even the moment I reached for my box. Whoever recorded it had known exactly when to press record. Morning came, and Dana found me still on the couch, eyes bloodshot. "You look awful," she said gently, handing me coffee. I nodded. "I got a video last night. Someone's spying on me." She sat down. "You need to go to the police." I thought about it. But unless they see it as a threat to my life, they'll just tell me to block the number. What if it escalates? I looked up. That's what I'm counting on. Her brow furrowed. What? Dana, this isn't just about me getting fired. It's about the whole system she built. Fear, silence, power. She's been ruining lives quietly for years. I've got 6 people ready to talk, board members whispering behind closed doors, and now, evidence that someone in her circle is tracking me. If she wants war. I trailed off. Dana sighed. "You always were the dramatic one." "I'm not trying to be dramatic," I said. "But if I don't finish this, she'll win." Again. Just then, My phone buzzed with another message. This time, no video. Just a text. You want a war? Let's go. No name. No context. But I didn't need it. I knew. Madeline had officially declared war. And she wasn't going to fight clean. I called Tessa again, this time with a direct ask. I need Drew to help me trace the source of these messages. Tessa didn't argue. We're already on it. Drew pulled metadata from the last video. It was uploaded using an internal server from the club. Someone inside Everfield is working with her. Then I need you to find out who. An hour later, Drew sent me the name. Caleb Winters. Security technician. Worked night shifts. I knew him. Sort of. He was the quiet, twitchy guy with glasses who barely said a word. Always wore the same gray hoodie on break and sipped energy drinks like water. He must have been the one who recorded me, which meant Madeline had eyes on the inside. I called Jenna. Jenna, I need a favor. Can you find out if Caleb is working tonight? She paused. Yeah, I think so. Why? Because I'm going back. Maya, what? Are you crazy? I need proof. Real proof. And I think I know where to find it. Jenna agreed to keep an eye out. Meanwhile, I dug out the spare badge Clint once gave me for after-hours events and slipped into black jeans, sneakers, and a hoodie. When night fell, I drove back to Everfield and parked 2 blocks down, in a dim corner by a convenience store. I waited, watched the security rotation, texted Jenna, "Is Caleb at the front desk?" Yep, sitting with his laptop. Same hoodie. Perfect. At 11:32 p.m., I moved. Snuck around the back path that led to the staff patio, the one most people forgot existed. Slid my badge and slipped in through the service entrance. My heart was thudding, hands clammy, but I moved like I had a mission because I did. The storage room. That's where Caleb's personal server setup was. He didn't use the company system. He had his own laptop with camera feeds. Said he trusted his gear more. I knew that because I overheard him bragging once to a junior staff member. I crept down the hallway, avoiding every camera blind spot I'd memorized over 5 years. And when I reached the storage room, it was unlocked. I slipped inside. There it was. The gray laptop, plugged into a wall-mounted monitor. Still running. Still open. I knew I had maybe 3 minutes before someone checked the hallway. I opened the laptop. No password. Either Caleb was too cocky or too lazy. I clicked the video folder, and my stomach dropped. There were over 40 videos. Some of me, some of other staff. Private locker room moments. Conversations in the break room. One file labeled DJ Slip Up, Madeline Meltdown. Another called Staff Crying Too. This was a surveillance goldmine. Madeline hadn't just watched me. She'd been building a vault of control for years. I selected the most damning ones, transferred them onto my USB drive. As I was finishing, I heard a voice. "Hey, who's in there?" "Caleb." I froze for half a second, then yanked the USB and shut the lid. No time to think. Just run. I darted from the room, sprinting down the corridor as he shouted behind me. I hit the exit just as the alarm sounded. Back door. Out into the cold. I didn't stop running until I hit my car. Threw the USB into the glove box. Slammed the door. Drove. Not home. Not Dana's. Straight to Drew. He opened the door at midnight, eyes wide. I held up the USB. "Here," I said breathlessly. "You want proof?" I just broke into Everfield for it. He plugged it in. Watched 1 video. Then 2. Then sat back in stunned silence. Tessa peeked over his shoulder. "Oh my God," she whispered. Drew turned to me. "Maya, this changes everything." But just as he said that, my phone buzzed again. No number. Just 1 image. A still photo of me. Taken in the storage room. Less than an hour ago. Whoever took it wasn't Caleb. There was someone else. And now they knew I had the files. I stared at the photo on my phone, my breath caught in my throat. It was a clear shot, me inside the storage room, crouched in front of Caleb's laptop, caught in the act of downloading the files. The timestamp was unmistakable, and it wasn't taken from the security feed. It was taken from a handheld device. That meant someone else had been there, watching, waiting. Drew looked at the photo, then at me. This isn't from Caleb's setup. He doesn't use still capture, and there are no wireless uploads in his system. Someone else was there. Someone following me, I said, the words like ice on my tongue. Tessa grabbed my arm. Maya, this is getting dangerous. Too late for turning back now, I replied. They know I have proof. I'm not hiding. Drew looked grim. These files, they're not just embarrassing. Some of them are violations of labor law. If Madeline used them to manipulate or punish employees. She did, I interrupted. I know she did. I heard her once tell Clint she had material on a waitress who kept calling out sick. That waitress got fired the next week. Drew stood up. We need to make this public, not just with the board. We go wider. Whistleblower forums, press, social media, and we do it fast, because I guarantee they're planning a way to discredit you right now. I looked down at my phone again. The picture was still on my screen. I want to beat her at her own game, I whispered. Tessa raised an eyebrow. How? We leak the videos, but not all at once. We give her time to panic. Then we leak more. Make her paranoid. Make her doubt who's behind it. You want to toy with her, Drew said, almost impressed. I nodded. Yeah, because Madeline Bradford is a master manipulator, and people like her, they fall hardest when they don't know which way the hit's coming from. The next morning, we released the first video anonymously, the one where Madeline screamed at a server for accidentally brushing her arm with a tray. The language she used was cruel, classist, the type of video that goes viral in minutes. We uploaded it to a whistleblower account on X and tagged it. Entitled wife of a CEO humiliates service worker during charity gala. This is what happens behind the scenes. Within 2 hours, it had 25,000 views. By lunchtime, hashtag Madeline Bradford was trending. Reporters started poking around. But that was just the beginning. The comments were brutal. If this is real, she needs to be removed from anything involving public causes. That poor waitress. Imagine what else she's done behind closed doors. CEO, husband better make a statement fast, or he's going down with her. And right on cue he did. Mr. Bradford issued a short statement by evening. Mrs. Bradford's behavior captured in the video does not reflect the values of Bradford Enterprises or our family. We are reviewing the situation internally. I nearly laughed when I saw it, because the panic had started. That night, Jenna called. Caleb's gone, she said, whispering. They escorted him out after his name started floating around the staff chat. Good, said. No, Maya. It's not good. He's mad. Really mad. He said this isn't over, and that you'll regret playing dirty. Let him threaten, I thought. Let them all sweat, because I still had 5 more videos ready to go. But then, the real twist came. I got an envelope at Dana's house. No name. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed, neatly folded. You think Madeline's your biggest enemy. You're wrong. Ask yourself who benefits most from this chaos. A friend. I read the message 3 times. Dana stood behind me, holding her youngest. Who would send something like that? I don't know, I whispered, but they're right. I'd been so focused on Madeline, I hadn't looked around me. Who else could benefit from her fall? Suddenly, everything clicked into place. Madeline's reputation falling. Mr. Bradford under pressure. The board in chaos. And someone quietly feeding me information from the inside. What if this wasn't just about revenge anymore? What if someone had used me as a tool? I called Tessa, read her the note. Her voice dropped. You think someone inside the company helped you? not to help, but to clear the way. I nodded, though she couldn't see me. Tessa, what if Madeline wasn't the real problem? What if someone higher up wanted her gone, and I was the perfect scapegoat? She went silent, then said, "You're going to need to be careful, Maya, because if this is true, you're not just dealing with rich people and bad behavior anymore. You're dealing with strategy." That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the balcony, watching the streetlights flicker below, thinking about everything I had started, and how little I really understood the game I'd walked into. I thought I was hunting Madeline, but maybe I'd just stepped into a trap someone else built long before I showed up. And right as I drifted off into an uneasy nap on the couch, my phone buzzed. Another message. No words, just a video clip. This one wasn't of me. It was of Clint, at a meeting table with Mr. Bradford, shaking hands with a man whose face was pixelated, and on the table, a printed copy of my whistleblower report, the one I never sent to Clint. I sat up straight, heart pounding. They had my file, and they were planning something I couldn't yet see. The video haunted me. Clint, my former manager, the same man who told me to stay out of sight, was seen at a table with Mr. Bradford and an unknown figure whose face was deliberately blurred out. Spread out between them, plain as day, was my whistleblower file, the exact one I had carefully compiled, the exact one I had never shared with either of them. So how did they get it? The walls were closing in. Fast. I replayed the clip again and again, studying every shadow, every subtle movement. The blurred man leaned forward during the handshake, tapping the file with 2 fingers like it was part of a bigger plan. I couldn't hear what they said, but I didn't need to. Someone on the inside had betrayed me. And not just any someone. Someone who wanted to make it look like I was the mastermind behind the entire collapse. They were preparing to hang me out to dry. I called Drew immediately. "Drew, they have the file." "What file?" "The whistleblower report. The one I emailed only to the board." Somehow, they got their hands on a printed copy. Clint, Mr. Bradford, and another guy, he's blurred, but they had it on the table. They're planning something. I could hear him typing furiously in the background. No board member was supposed to forward that report without going through the compliance office. If it got leaked. It was leaked, I said, and not by accident. Drew exhaled. "Okay, new plan. We go bigger." "How big?" "Full public drop. Everything. All the videos. The timelines. The testimonies. Name names. Once it's out there, no one can manipulate the story." I hesitated. That could backfire. "It could," he admitted, "but not if we do it smart. Not if we time it." "What are you thinking?" He paused. "The Bradford Foundation is hosting a press luncheon tomorrow at Lenox Hall. All the board members, donors, and media will be there." I sat up straighter. "You want to blow the whistle at the event?" He lowered his voice. "You said you wanted to make her feel what she did to you. What better way than in front of everyone she wants to impress?" I didn't speak. Not right away. Because the idea was bold, dangerous, and almost poetic. She humiliated me over nothing. Now I had a chance to expose everything. In one shot. "All right," I said slowly. "Let's do it." We spent the rest of the day prepping. Drew encrypted the videos, organized the documents, and scheduled them to drop at a precise time. Exactly 12:15 p.m., right as Madeline would be standing at the podium to make her speech. Meanwhile, I prepared my speech too, just in case the media needed a quote. Just in case this went bigger than all of us. That night, I barely slept. But not out of fear this time. It was anticipation. The next morning, Dana drove me to the edge of Lenox Hall. I wasn't invited to the event, but I didn't need to be inside to launch the final blow. I sat in the car with my laptop counting the seconds. 11:45 a.m., Drew texts. She just walked in. 11:55 a.m., Jenna sends me a selfie from the catering team inside. She's glowing, like she already knows she won. 12:12 p.m., Tessa, Drew's in place. We're ready. 12:15 p.m. I hit send. The files went live on every platform at once. The video of the waitress being humiliated. The audio clip of Madeline mocking cancer patients at a fundraiser dinner. Screenshots of internal emails Clint had sent about burying staff complaints. All tied together with a time-stamped report and 6 sworn testimonials from former staff. Within 10 minutes, the internet caught fire. News outlets started reporting. CEO's wife exposed in viral staff abuse videos. But that wasn't the explosion. That came at 12:19 p.m. when someone inside Lenox Hall, maybe Jenna, maybe someone else, leaked a live video from the event. It showed Madeline at the podium, just beginning her speech. Behind her, phones started going off. Buzzes. Alerts. One by one, heads turned. She paused, confused. Then someone whispered in her ear. Her smile dropped. She turned pale. Her hands trembled on the podium. And then, she fainted, right there on stage. The room descended into chaos. Medics rushed in. Mr. Bradford stood frozen, unable to mask the horror on his face. Staff tried to escort guests out as whispers exploded into shouts. And I watched it unfold from Dana's car with my laptop in my lap. Revenge, as they say, was served cold. But it wasn't over. Because as the media frenzy exploded, as hashtags trended and phones rang off the hook, I got a call from a restricted number. I answered it. And this time, the voice wasn't distorted. It was calm, smooth, polished. Male. You've made a lot of noise, Ms. Walker. Good, I replied. Did it wake you up? There was a short chuckle. It woke the board up. You should be proud. But I thought I'd offer you one final warning. Why? Scared you're next. I'm not scared, but you should be. I gripped the phone tighter. Who are you? A pause. Then the voice said, I'm the man in the video with Clint and Mr. Bradford. And I didn't blur my face because I was afraid. I did it because I wanted to see how long it would take you to come find me. My blood ran cold. You set me up. I gave you a stage. What do you want? Another pause. Then, to see if you're ready for what comes next. You just burned down an empire. But power never disappears, Maya. It just changes hands. The call ended, and I sat there in silence, the noise of the scandal exploding around me. Because the voice was right. I hadn't ended the game. I'd just made myself a player. And somewhere in the ashes, someone else was waiting to make their move. For a few hours, it felt like I'd won. The media ran wild. Talk shows debated whether Madeline Bradford had been a toxic elite all along. HR experts weighed in on workplace power abuse. Local networks did specials on Everfield estates. Even national coverage picked it up. My anonymous whistleblower identity was still mostly protected, but only barely. Drew warned me. They'll figure out soon it was you. You need to be ahead of them. He was right. I didn't just light a fire. I'd burned down a legacy. By nightfall, Madeline had been removed from the Bradford Foundation's board, her scheduled interviews canceled, her social media accounts deactivated. Mr. Bradford's company released another statement, this one longer, colder. In light of recent events, and to preserve the integrity of our company's future, we will be conducting an independent investigation into the actions of Mrs. Bradford. Her involvement with company affairs has been suspended indefinitely. But as I watched the flames rise, I couldn't shake the words from that call. You didn't end the game. You just made yourself a player. That voice, whoever he was, had been calm. Too calm. He wasn't afraid of me or what I'd done. That meant he had a backup plan. And he had already taken steps to move the board, Clint and Bradford like pawns. I needed to find out who he really was. Drew tried pulling employee and board records for me, trying to match voice to face. But that mystery man's identity was still hidden behind a firewall of anonymity and influence. Then something strange happened. On Wednesday morning, Dana shook me awake with a newspaper in her hand. "You're on the front page." I rubbed my eyes and looked. There I was. A blurry shot of me leaving Everfield Estates with my box of things. The headline read, "Whistleblower identified. Maya Walker may be the woman who brought down the Bradford legacy." I stared. My name was out. Everything just got real. "I didn't give anyone my name," I whispered. Dana frowned. Then someone else did. My phone buzzed. "Drew. Maya, I'm sorry. There's been a leak. Your identity was released by someone inside Bradford Enterprises. I think it was Clint." I swallowed hard. Why? "Because it's phase 2. "Phase 2 of what?" "Of burying you." That same afternoon, I received a legal notice from Bradford Enterprises. They were suing me for breach of confidentiality, damage to corporate reputation, and unauthorized access to private files. The amount? Over $500,000. It was never about winning in court. It was about breaking me, silencing me, making an example of me. I sat at Dana's dining table, the lawsuit shaking in my hands. "Clint filed this personally," Drew confirmed. I pulled the document IDs. "He's working under direction from the same man who called you." "They want me broke," I whispered. Alone. Terrified. But I wasn't scared anymore. They made one mistake. They thought I was still the girl who flinched when Madeline raised her voice. But I had receipts, witnesses, and now the public on my side. I opened my laptop, wrote a letter addressed to every outlet that had run the whistleblower story. "My name is Maya Walker. I am the woman who exposed years of abuse by Madeline Bradford. I'm not a hacker. I'm not a disgruntled ex-employee. I'm someone who stood up after being shoved down too many times. Now I'm being sued for telling the truth." I attached the lawsuit notice, the stories, the threats, the photo taken inside Everfield, the distorted voice calls, and I ended the letter with one line. "They're not just suing me to stop the truth. They're suing me to make sure no one else ever dares speak it." The letter went viral in less than 3 hours. Every lawyer with a Twitter account offered free legal defense. Dozens of former staff from the Bradford Empire began coming forward, adding their voices. Hashtag Stand With Maya began trending nationwide. And somewhere I knew someone was watching it all. That man from the video, that voice on the phone. But instead of fear, I felt something else. Readiness. Because if he wanted to play games in the shadows, I'd bring light. 3 days later, he made a move. A package arrived at Dana's house. Inside was a single USB drive. A note. "If you want the full story, plug this in." Drew warned me. "Could be a trap." "Or," I said, "it could be what we need to finish this." I plugged it in. The screen lit up with security footage. From inside a boardroom, there was Madeline sitting across from Clint and Mr. Bradford. And then the mystery man entered. His face wasn't blurred anymore. Sharp features, silver hair, expensive suit. He sat down slowly and said, "Let her dig. Maya Walker is going to take care of our problem for us." My heart stopped. I hit rewind, played it again. Those exact words. I had been used, not to punish Madeline, but to eliminate her. A setup, a silent coup from the inside. Madeline was never the only target. I was the match. They had struck me against the stone and watched as the empire burned. And now I was still holding the flame, because that video, it proved everything, and I knew exactly what I had to do next. Burn them all.